Okay, and welcome back, U.S. Virgin Islands International, and we are back in the playlist for October 2022, and this is my personal games, Colin Heim, with U.S. Virgin Islands Chess Federation and U.S. ISV International. To shout out goes to all our Olympiad players at home and elsewhere who competed in Chennai, India this year. Congratulations, Open men's team. Justin, Michael, Nyan, David, and Connor. We're still talking about your guys' success endeavor, and it's going to live in the heart and the memories of the U.S. Virgin Islands chess campaign as one of the best results that we've ever had. And if you guys are new to this playlist, this is the Stockfish Level 8 white games only against black Stockfish Level 8. No time control, the Infinite King defeats 3200 level. When Stockfish 8 held a competition, held a competition against Chess.com's level 32, it breezed by Chess's maxed out engine. So we see the strength of Stockfish. They're building stronger engines now. But for the time being, Stockfish Level 8 was very dominant. It's the highest level that the humans are allowed to play against by the designer of Lichess. So in this game, guys, it's going to be round 5, and this is going to be draw number 5 with the white pieces against black Stockfish Level 8 in the year of 2022. On Lichess. And we're going to get right into the Phillidor defense again in this game. So let's go to the analysis board. And in this game, the human cyborg, your guys' USVI operator, had the white pieces. And in every game so far in these 5 rounds, I have had the white pieces against Stockfish Level 8 and played E4 every time. And each time I play one of these games against Stockfish Level 8, I open up my device and I say I would like to play one game, and I do not play another game. So all these games that were registered and video recorded and put into the database, guys, for our online instructionals and virtual tutorials were all games that I opened up one time, and I let you guys know when I always started making takebacks at around move 27, move 30, whatever the case. I will let you guys know in this game I took many takebacks as this game was extremely complicated. And I started it at about 5:48 this morning, today in the morning, as we see below the Infinite Stock King. Yes, I started very, very early this morning and ended just at about around 7 o'clock. So I played for quite a while, and this was a very challenging puzzle. I'm going to show you guys where I started making takebacks and where I started making moves, and why the moves that I made after I made takebacks over and over again did not work. So let's get right into it and find out what works again to draw against the Phillidor defense. So it's appearing as though something interesting that I want to bring up as well. Against Stockfish Level 8, E4, E5, and it always is going for this D6 after knight to F3, so it seems like Phillidor defense is Stockfish Level 8's number one choice against a human cyborg. Guys, very interesting that we point this out. It is not that the Phillidor defense is not an opening that hasn't been played a lot at top level chess. Certainly in the earlier eras before this postmodern era, Carlsen era, we have not seen the Pirch defense as the Phillidor defense, as something that is really continually played. We see just Rui Lopez for E4, E5. We see Italian game. We see the Catalan. We see Sicilian defense. We're not seeing the Phillidor defense played right now at the top level, let's just say in Carlsen tournaments and stuff like that. But Stockfish 8 is well prepared and ready to play chess anytime. So it says, okay, Phillidor defense, it's chess time. It's ready. Bishop to C4, and always going with my bishop to C4, guys. I have 3 other games against Stockfish Level 8 in the playlist, very similar to this instructional. Yes, as a matter of fact, the same instructional, same platform, Lichess, going over the analysis, and bishop to c4 is something that I just play every time. And it is what I played every time so far against Now, instead of bishop to e7, there were other games in the playlist where Stockfish went for knight to f6. But instead in this game, Stockfish went for bishop to e7, so let's continue. I castled in the short immediately, and c5, played by Stockfish Level 8 black, and just solidifying the center. A very, very reasonable continuation, and something that we probably would still see a lot in modern chess if a Phillidor defense was played. So Stockfish going for the absolute best continuation possible after bishop to e7. Well, here comes c3. I'm going to go for some mainline theory now. Now comes knight to f6 from Stockfish Level 8, switching up its own game. Rook to e1, played by myself, knight to c6, and here comes d4 immediately, guys. Now, d4, it turns out, is not best. Instead, a3 is better, or just d3. But, guys, d4 is something a little more provocative, and I wanted to switch something up and maybe throw what Stockfish would coin as an inaccuracy played from a human opponent. So let us continue with d4 then and see how Stockfish reacted to this situation. Well, it says I have to capture c captures on d4. So it goes for the captures line with the c pawn, capturing towards the center by, I would say, by educated standards from a standpoint of retrospective. Yes, capturing towards the center. This elite engine says c captures on d4. C captures on d4 played by myself now. And after bishop to g4, well, guys, I checked with the Fritz base engine after this game, and it says that bishop to g4 isn't just slightly better for black, but black is actually much better in this position. The engine favors, the critical engine in this position already moves black far ahead of white in the registered calculations of things. Only at move 8, by the way. So really sort of putting myself back with this d4, but I kept it and I said, okay, let's just play natural chess now. I'm going to capture here on e5, very provocative. D captures on e5, getting the queens off the board as per usual. This is a very common criterion that I'm finding is something that we should follow as a procedure to get by Stockfish Level 8. I talk about that theme, getting the queens off the board, in the previous videos. Girls and guys, please check out the other Phillidor defense game, as well as the Russian game played in the playlist, and the Benema defense Scotch game that I had against Stockfish Level 8, which I was also more than capable of drawing and coming up with a solution against half and half black Stockfish Level 8, giving it half and half and giving the computer a hard time at the highest level. Okay, the computer engine is struggling against the human cyborg for achieving converting results. Okay, now knight to c3 is the only move to play in this position, guys. Well, if you go for something like h3, or if you just play even knight from b to d2, none of those lines work, and there is so much theory that goes behind all of this. Again, knight from b to d2 doesn't, h3 doesn't. You have to just go for knight to c3. And I would like to spend some time showing everyone in this video what the consequences are of those continuations after rook to d8, and it is not pleasant. I started making takebacks here at move 12, guys, in this game, because this is just so much better for black already at move 10 that I just had to take back and go through about a half an hour at this point of knight from b to d2 and h3, because black is so much better developed already in the first 10 moves after queen captures on d8. And with the rook now open on the open d file, and yes, the threat of the f3 knight. The f3 knight is always a stronger knight for white in all cases, because it is a tempo in the opening, gaining a tempo. So bishop to g4, and now that there is an open d file that black has completely in just supreme control of, and white is still undeveloped here on the queen side with the minor pieces, and I do not have connected rooks yet. Black can castle. These are the themes that we are mentioning in order for you guys to improve in your chess online and over the board today, guys. Yes, Colin Heim, and today is October the 13th, and we are going to continue with this game after knight to c3. So we talked about why h3 doesn't work, why knight from b to d2 doesn't work, so instead knight to c3 was played in the game. Let's go after bishop captures on f3 and g captures on f3. So the consequence of this line, we brought up the word consequence earlier. Yes, g captures on f3. The problem in this opening line, that is, would be to have double pawns on the f-file and be behind just slightly, and black has a better setup, yes, than white does in this familiar Phillidor structure. d4 as an accuracy on move 7. So here we have a7, a6 by Stockfish Level 8 black, and bishop to e3 played by myself, Human Cyborg white, and knight to d4. Getting in quick, saying, well, you can defend d4 all you want, human. However, I am going to infiltrate now, and I'm going to prove why not only I was able to give you a double f3 pawn, but why this is just so much better in every line, and trying to, show me why d4 just doesn't work out here in this mainline Phillidor with some or no tactics and no theory, just straight chess and the ever so confident, and sometimes I feel overconfident and nasty Stockfish Level 8, and this inhumane engine can be at times. So thwarted now as bishop captures on d4 and rook takes on d4. And now, guys, in this position, I would like you, as participants in this ISV instructional and in this high-level game, find the best move for white. Well, guys, in this position, isn't the c4 bishop the weakness for Team White? Yes, it is the weakness. It became a weakness ever since d4, and rook to d4, and yes, we now see the causal threat. If you guys found bishop to b3, congratulations. That is the best move in the position. Create a Bobby Fischer bishop. Bishop from g7, g6, and a3, b5. b5 is a very interesting moment in this game. Guys, find the best move for white in the position after I give you a couple of seconds. So after this point, there were no takebacks. Mind you guys, on move 12, I went over 3 moves, knight from b to d2 and h3 after bishop to g4 to try and hinder the velocity of bishop to g4. However, I was still able to make a decent comeback with rook from a to d1, so white is still doing okay in this position, and I'm pretty happy with the way things are going so far. Black decided to finally castle in the short after move 17 was played, rook from a to d1, and now, guys, I want you to find the best move for white in the position. Well, guys, this is definitely not the best move in the position. If you found rook captures on d4 and ed4, this is definitely not the best. Now white is in problems. And this is exactly how Stockfish continued after I took back in this position, and I did not play the best move, which was just knight to d5. So let's go towards what I'm talking about now as I continue forward in this lecture. So, guys, the best move in the position was just knight to d5. Better than exchanging the rooks first, okay? And I went over that a few times. So, yes, in this position, after the short castles, you have to take advantage immediately and take initiative. Now we are going after the e7 bishop shore. And now the computer is going to defend. Now, guys, I want you to find the best move for white in the position after I give you a couple of seconds. Which piece do we take now? Do we take the horse on f6, or do we take the shup on e7? Well, guys, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds now. Please pause the video. Take some time to yourself. I'll give you guys a hint. It is not knight captures bishop. If knight captures bishop, rook captures here, and now we have a rook that's able to get behind the d-pawn, and arguably a stronger f6 knight than this b3 bishop, okay? So if you guys found knight captures f6 followed up by bishop f6, well then correct. You guys are in the right. Very well done, guys, at ISV if you guys found that tactic. And let's continue and go a little more forward. Give you guys a little pat on the back there. Well played. Bishop f6. Now what can we play, guys? Now can we find the best move for white? No takebacks. Now it's time. So we just consolidated and took some minor pieces, and we calculated after horse to d5, yes, after rook to e8, short castles, right, guys? So the line went like this. Rook from a to d1 after b5, short castles, knight to d5, rook to e8, knight f6, bishop f6, rook d4, ed4. Okay. Just so you guys can understand the script and understand the line, okay? Guys, the follow-up here is f4, so I'm going to make the best as Human Cyborg. I'm going to make the best out of my f-file. Immediately after ed4 comes f4. And now there's going to be a threat maybe here to even the dark squared bishop. And now there's opposite colored bishops in this endgame. And despite having now double pawns on the f-file, I feel like maybe I can do okay in this position. Yes, Stockfish goes for rook to d8 now. Rook to d8 is an interesting continuation, and I like rook to d8. Rook to d8 is the best move, obviously. You don't have to be a 32 level engine to know that. e5 now, attacking bishop f6. Yes, going back to e7. Now getting my king involved, guys, walking up the board, and d3. Now I want you guys to find the best move for white in this position. This is a critical d3 push. Yes, black's pass pawn. Critical moment in the position. What do we have to play in this position? And by the way, guys, there were no takebacks in this line. No surprises, guys. It's not a magic move. Just rook to d1, and now we have the file defended as well as the black pass pawn. Yes, d3 is a very dangerous pass pawn, but let's continue. So black Stockfish level 8 now decides to lift his rook to d4, and now we see what the obvious threat is the f4 pawn that I decided to create as a connected center for my team at move 24. Now here in move 25, so 25 f3, and now we are talking business. Bishop to c5, the best move played by Stockfish, no lie in the position. Now there's a threat on f2. He has the rook backed up in case there's any sort of discovered checks, or just setting himself up for the best lines possible. Enginely possible, humanly possible, cyborgly possible, all the adjectives you guys could come up with. Well, if you guys found e5, e6, well, this is by far the best move in the position. e6 is best. F captures e6, bishop captures e6 check, king to h8, and king is moving into the corner of the board. Well, I was very surprised by the engine here. I don't know why it did not consider king to g7. Perhaps that makes the position slightly weaker for black, so maybe that's the reason why he played king to h8. It looks like it makes the position a little weaker for black from a retrospective standpoint. b4 now after king to h8, and guys, there were no takebacks played in these sequences, by the way, so I came up with all these very logical lines. And notice how the lines that we went over and that we talked about were very obvious lines, by the way. They weren't anything too specific or quantified or anything that we had to go into these large universes about. It was just after d4 that made black a lot better. But we're showing that with this stronger pawn center and this chain that we have, despite black having a pass pawn for himself, that white's doing okay after king to g2. And now as we continue, we make a couple more moves, going back to where we were just a moment ago after king f25, king f3, c5, and e6. Well, f e6 and bishop e6 and king h8. Now, guys, we mentioned the follow-up in this position, if you remember, was just b4 now, attacking bishop c5. Bishop is going back to b6. Now we're putting an attack now, and I have liberties at the back rank with the bishop. So, yes, bishop c8, now eyeing a6. Well, c7 now, and we're just going to capture on a6 one time. Rook takes on f4 check, yes, to the white king, and king has to switch over now to e3 square. Well, rook h4, and now the h2 pawn is under attack. It looks like the dust is settled after rook captures d3 and rook captures h2. And now lifting my rook up to the c7 square and now giving black some problems, creating more now velocity for myself. Except now there's a beautiful b6 check, and Stockfish level 8 is a master of the dark squared bishop and the coordination of the rooks and playing 3200 level plus chess. Yes, king moves up to e4. Best move is to capture with the bishop, not to capture with the rook. Creates more complications for black, so the engine knows f2. With the bishop, dark squared bishop versus light squared bishop. Now in this position, guys, I want you to evaluate the position for yourselves. In this position, evaluate the position. In this position, evaluate the position. And in this position, evaluate the position times 3. Yes, very important. Why? Because we see that there is a very symmetrical structure. 2 pawns here and 2 pawns over there for white on the queen side of the board. And rook to h3, well, rook to h3 is attacking the a3 pawn, but the focus that we wanted to mention and to talk about in the conversation of this position, guys, we're almost 20 minutes in. Going to finish up here about in the last 5. I urge you guys to set this position up over the board now and continue. We're going to do part 3 of this lecture in just a moment and show you guys the final result. So there will be a part 2 and a continuation to this round 5 against my black Stockfish level 8 cyborg human with team white, and effectively having a 5th draw in perfect drawing counsel against the terrible engine That is Stockfish Level 8. A4 played by myself, and you have to play all these moves in order to continue. Bishop to E1, and now succeeding the B4 pawn, having to push A5. And now throwing a check first, Stockfish Level 8, and capturing now with the rook after the H4 check. King D5, getting out of the way. Correct is King to C6, and Bishop to F2. Now we're going to push the A pawn. Alpha is going up the board, and despite black being up a pawn on the king side of the board, guys, just keep pushing that alpha pawn, and this forces Stockfish to capture the A7 pawn. Well, if black doesn't capture, there's no opportunity to get to A4 to defend the queening pawn because of my beautiful B5 bishop, which is probably at this point effectively a better bishop than black's bishop, and that's exactly what we saw now after a lesser bishop being forced to exchange. Now white is showing that we were slightly better in the endgame, and we put up a better fight with the connectivity of the center pawns, and for 2 pawns, the compensation is a fully better white squared bishop, fully Gaza white squared bishop. And now let's continue with H4. Okay, bishop F1 is best, getting all the way back. Rook to G4. March the king towards the pawns. As really another beauty of this position, guys, is again going back to King H8. Maybe if Stockfish had evaluated this position, my rook is just doing an excellent job of just making sure, yeah, there's some checks there. I'm going to attack the rook. He's going to slide again. But guys, my rook is cutting that black king for eternity in this position, and it is a beautiful thing. There's no way for the black king to make any progress. So let's go with what was played at the end, bishop to G2, just dancing, making the same moves, repeating the position. And finally, forcing a nice check on the 7th rank there, and G5 is played, bishop up, and this is where we are ready to draw. Those 2 pass pawns aren't going to make it anywhere. The king cannot enter into the battle, and I'm not allowing such a thing. I'm a chess master. I'm a human cyborg chess calculator and a mainframe master, and I'm not going to allow this engine, who is playing, repeating the lines now, continue the game any further. So it was in this position at move 74, finally dropping the rook back, taking one of the pawns, exchanging, and this is what Stockfish sought to be best. And I am up a minor piece, and I end up material in this drawn endgame, so I am +3 in the endgame and drawn by insufficient material. Next time, and over the board, ISV International, and prepare for more in the future, as there will always be more, and on the other side is next time.